Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us. My name is Yulia Belanok. I'm a leading methodologist of Skyteach. And today we have a special guest, Alex Hitch. Alex gave a talk, How to Increase Students' Confidence, at Skyteach Festival in Kazan on the 31st of March. And today we have some kind of a follow-up session because the topic is so useful and practical because that it's possible to talk for ages about students' confidence, about their motivation. So, and that's why thank you, Alex, for coming, for joining us. I'm very glad.
I'm glad being here too.
Thank you. So, guys, a few words about Alex. Alex graduated from the university in Athens and later in Washington. And for 4 years, he has been teaching in Russia, in Moscow, in Tver, in Nizhny Novgorod, Vladimir and Ivanovo, and he managed to perfect his unique technique. Alex, am I correct? Do you want to add some more details to your description?
Everything else would be boring.
I don't think so, but okay. Guys, let me remind you, while you're listening to Alex talking, you can ask your questions in the chat and I will ask Alex later. He will definitely answer everything, all your questions. Okay, so here we go. Alex, can I ask some questions not on the topic?
Of course.
Of course, very good. Alex, why did you decide to live and work in Russia? Because when I found out that you lived in Athens, like Greece for me, it's like paradise. And you say so great, why Russia?
Well, actually, before Russia, I used to live on an island, so that's quite different from Athens, totally different probably. But it was not actually my decision to live in Russia. I just came here to celebrate New Year with my friends. And like in a 1 week time, they made me stay. And I actually loved Russia. So perhaps that's just the roots that I've got from my Russian parents. You know, blood.
I see, sound interesting. And one more question, why have you chosen teaching as your profession? And how you do usually upgrade your teaching skills?
When I came here for the first time, I was proposed to teach ancient Greek and Greek. And I don't remember the actual school's name, but it was on Lubyanka. And I was just teaching ancient Greek for some professors, and it was quite interesting. However, it was the first experience while I was actually teaching as a teacher. And after that, they just asked me to deal with some English courses that I needed someone to be native, and they couldn't find a good teacher here. So I said, let's give it a try. I don't know, just a month or two later, I decided that I have to open my own school. I have to start it on my own. I like this job. So teaching makes me happy. And I started to study more. I started to evolve in this profession.
Okay, Alex, which is more interesting, teaching Greek or teaching English?
I don't know, probably Greek. And I think it's more helpful to learn ancient languages like Latin or Greek to be better in like new languages like European. All the languages are evolved from the ancient ones.
I see. Okay, thank you. So we are discussing today how to increase students' self-confidence, right? Alex, why is it so important to do that?
Well, self-confidence is important in any kind of matter, because if we don't want to do something, if we don't feel comfortable doing something, we will never achieve anything.
I couldn't agree more. It's a very, very, very important topic. At the festival, you mentioned that teachers should focus on strength of every learner and adjust a lesson to every learner. You see, it's what I usually do at my lessons, but I work mainly one-on-one. I wanted to ask you, how is it possible to do if you work with a group, for example, of 10 people or 15 people? Is it possible to make it really individual for everyone?
Of course, but when you work with a group, it's not becoming so individual, but you can create a unique team. You can put them all together and give them one unique and common task, and they will have to be united to complete it. They have to be passionate to work in a team.
And
they
if they
bring the idea to their heads.
And if they don't want to work together in a team, you know that in a group, some students, they dislike each other. It happens, right? If they are not passionate, what can you do?
You can make 2 or 3 teams and make them contest each other.
Opponents, yeah, I see.
War is much more powerful than peace.
I see. Okay. So anyway, it's the only way, I mean, making them opponents, the only way to make them feel comfortable at the lesson, comfortable working as a group in one team?
Well, when you start with a group, you usually want to know what do they like, what are they fond of, and just bring in the topics they usually ask themselves all the time. You can put the direction of your lessons into correct form, and you can just make the lessons more interesting for them, because all the people are different and they have different kinds of I don't know, hobbies. So you have to be I don't know, destinated to their topics.
Okay, sounds great. And Alex, do you work one-on-one?
Rarely, but of course, sometimes people just are shy and they don't want to work in a group, and they ask me to teach them one by one. But I think it's more effective to talk to many people, because even when I work one-on-one, I make them chat online, I make them register on different websites, because they need more different opinions, they need more different styles and maybe accents. You can't just talk to one person and then go out and believe that you will be able to speak and understand anyone else. Even like unique style of speech may differ a lot from person to person.
There's some good ideas in what you're telling us, because yeah, on the one hand is a big advantage, right? Because a teacher can give all his attention to one student, and on the other hand, yeah. But anyway, if you work one-on-one, do you have any advice or some tricks how to build a rapport with individual students?
Usually when I have lessons one by one, I see that we don't actually have lessons. We just chat. We talk about the day that we have spent, or about vacations, about anything, but not the lesson. So we spend like an hour or 2 just talking, and then we quickly have some chat about the lesson for 15 minutes before we finish. And mostly they do all the work at home alone.
So it's like some kind of like flipped classroom, yeah?
Sort of, you could tell it.
Okay, so talking to your student, I mean, discussing his interest is the best way to make him feel comfortable at your lesson.
Of course. And when they have lived something, with the experience that they have, it's easier for them to talk about it. And even if they don't know the words, they will try to explain, because they want to share their experience, they want to share their feelings. So you don't you just don't notice how you push them to talk a lot, and when they talk a lot, they just extend their vocabulary, they try to use new words, and they don't even notice the difficulties.
I see. And if so there are some category of students that are not so happy to talk, right? They are unwilling to talk. What do you do in this way? How do you make them speak?
Usually that's the type of like engineering. They like to write, they like to read, they can make presentations, but they don't want to speak about it. So of course you can make them do the same work they do every day. So push them to I don't know, make a scheme, write something, an essay. But after that, make them to present that to the class or to the group, or to yourself as a teacher, maybe a presentation, but they'll have to explain every slide on it. And they will not notice again that they are speaking, because they will just be explaining what they have done. And it will be easier for them to talk at that moment, because they have already finished the work, they have already studied it, so they know what to tell you, they are prepared, and they feel comfortable about it.
Alex, very nice idea with this presentation, that anyway it should be prepared, right? Because for introverts, it's very difficult to just speak. Yeah, like it should be prepared. Yeah, very, very nice idea. I like it very much. Sorry, Alex, could you repeat?
I'm an introvert myself.
Right,
so
really?
I don't feel confident speaking.
Oh, I would never say that, really. For me, you look you speak very confidently. So I can't believe even that.
I'm trying not to think about
it. I see. Great. Alex, there was another your idea at the festival. You told us to reject students' behavior and action, but not the student. Oh, it's really great for this student-teacher interaction. Could you give us maybe some specific example? For example, what do you say exactly to your student when you reject his or her behavior?
There's no common phrases for that, and I see myself usually making jokes of that. And I don't think that's a good idea, but I just can't control it. I make fun of them, and I always want to make the joke. And sometimes I just, if it's not attention, if they are not paying attention, I just can start discussion of the topic they were discussing in the class, and recreate the lesson according to this topic. So I never reject any behavior. I never reject anything from my student. I'm trying to be part of it. And if it's stupid or not interesting, I will make a joke of it, and will make them a little bit shy of it. So they will not act again because they will look stupid or will feel stupid, I don't know. But if it's something interesting, or maybe widely spread, like news, or I don't know, something they have seen on YouTube or Instagram, so I will maybe put it inside my lesson, and I will interact with them on that subject.
Yeah, but the teacher should have a sense of humor, right? Not all teachers are witty, unfortunately, to make jokes on the spot.
If you don't have a sense of humor and you try making jokes, I think it's much more funnier.
I see, Alex. And for example, situation, typical problem, yeah, headache for all teachers. Students, they don't do homework. Like it happens once, then again and again and again. What is possible to say to the student, to tell him? I mean, not to reject the student, not to offend him. Like.
Well, there are several ways of dealing with that. First, of course, you can be strict. So, haven't done your homework, don't come to the lesson. That's like the oldest technique. It doesn't work always, but for some people, especially in Russia, it works a lot. Other way to deal with that is to give points. For every homework, you give points, and as more homework you get, as more homework you bring to the class, or you can present something extra, more points you get, and eventually you can earn a prize or something. That's a motivation we usually use for kids or maybe teenagers, but sometimes it works on adults too.
Yeah, I agree with that, because I have an adult and I gave him percents for every homework. And it was 90, 90, 90, then one day 60. Oh, he was so disappointed. Oh, 60, how is it possible? Yeah, very nice idea, by the way, because you see, we have students, yeah, they pay money, yeah. I can't tell them, like, without homework, go away, yeah.
We usually use the same homework for everyone.
I see.
When you have a book, you usually have one specific homework for every student in your class, because this is the subject they have to practice it. But you can just like search the internet and you can find out alternative homework with the same subject in hundreds of different worksheets, and you can make them do a different homework for each lesson. So they will have different information, that will have different topics, different passages, and maybe later they can even discuss what was more interesting and why it was.
Yeah, also
when they all do the same, they are not so motivated to do it because it's like routine. But if they have something unique, they will feel more special about it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Really, it should be motivating. Okay, Alex, you also told the audience at the festival that that you gave example how you show progress to your student. At the end of the lesson, you can say that now you can. For example, now you can give directions, right? It's very good way, and I usually do the same. Are there any other ways to show progress to your student in order to increase his motivation?
Of course, just using now you can is not enough, because when you tell someone that he can do it, he doesn't feel that he actually can. So you have to show them that he can. Just give them a chance to expel from the classroom and to get there. If you are talking about directions, after the class of directions, you can just go outside and make him guide you to a place that you want.
Sounds interesting.
Now, during the summer, it's easy to go outside. The weather is pretty good. Not in Russia, but okay.
Yeah. And what about online? Like I can't go outside with my student, but I can use Google Maps.
Of course, there are also interactive tours on Google Maps where you go to 360 pictures. It's nice. Also, if you add guide translations, maybe they can have, again, presentations, or they can make a speech on a video to present a place they want to go.
Oh, it's wonderful. I have never tried, but I think I will. Okay. Alex, thank you. Lots of interesting ideas. Guys, by the way, I remind you, you can ask your questions. Please write them in the chat, and Alex will be happy to answer them. Great. So let's continue, right? And also at the festival, you told teachers not to avoid answering the questions. And I totally agree with you, because I personally dislike teachers who evade answers. But what if the teacher or a teacher doesn't know the answer? What do you recommend doing?
Oh, I have seen such topic on your Instagram account now. Well, first of all, of course, every teacher has to be prepared. And when we say be prepared, it's not the actual preparation for the lesson that usually teachers do. I see all the teachers that I meet that they prepare especially for one unit, for one lesson each time. And I don't think that's a correct way of preparation, because every lesson has much more information to give, and not just the topic of the book. So you have to search and to dig much deeper. You have to be prepared to give explanations about the words, and not just the words that you've got in your word list. You have to analyze how are the words formed generally in English. I just got it at university. It was easy for me to explain every word because I can see through it. I can just separate the root. I can understand the meaning of the root from the ancient languages. I can tell the history of the word, how it was changed. So I think that every teacher just has to spend 5 to 6 months studying, and you don't actually need to go and study anywhere. You have to just surf the Wikipedia, write down the information, the most important one. You can watch videos on YouTube. There are lots of really good educational videos right now. So you just, I don't know, suck the information from the internet and make some notes, and you will get interested in that also first. And after that, every question you can just recall the information and you can explain it. And sometimes, even if you are wrong, if you're just listening to some rumors or anything which is not proved, it still will be really worthful because how do I say it? Let's say, because it's interesting for you and it will make it interesting for your students. Even if it's not true, but it can explain something, or if it's a joke about the explanation, it's still useful.
Okay, yeah, Alex, thank you. A very nice suggestion. I mean, to study Wikipedia, right, and other aspects of the language. But still, if it happened, right, is a teacher is inexperienced, he has or she has just only started. What is better, to confess that you don't know or to give some false information?
No, of course, you better search within the class. You can search for the word. You can just you never use translators or dictionaries. Even the meanings of the words are not so useful when you just try to explain each word. But you can see, like, you can Google for it for I don't know, the essential root of the word. Where does it come from? And then read about its history. How is it used in different countries? And with these examples, you will find out the word, and you will find it with your students together. You will explain more than just the word while you're searching for it. And you cannot say something like, I know everything, it's not true, or you can check it at home. No, you can search for the word. There are like 370,000 words in English right now, and every normal teacher would know not more than 7,000 words. So you just can't know all the words. None of the natives know all the words.
Yeah, of course. We're not robots, right? We're not Wikipedia.
Yeah, even Wikipedia doesn't know it all.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Alex, thank you very much. Alex, do you have any other tips or techniques how to increase students' motivation? Maybe I haven't asked you, but you want to add anything to what was mentioned?
Lots of practice, of course. Practice is always essential. And when we're talking about distant lessons like Skype lessons, it's really hard to make people practice. But even for that kind of lessons, I found the solutions a long time ago, and it's just making them to do something within the social networks. For example, if I want people to speak to other people to practice questions, I force them to make an interview. And they're going outside to strangers, to totally unknown people, and ask them questions in English. Of course, one of 10 will answer that, but you will still find your person. You will ask the question, you will record it on camera and post it on your Instagram account. It will be a fun experience for you, and it will be much more useful than just studying and writing the exercises.
Yeah, of course, because this is some communicative task. Yeah, really engaging.
Practice is needed everywhere, even online.
Okay, Alex, and I want also to ask you about motivation. What do you usually do to motivate your student? Because, you know, motivation is such a thing that can easily increase, decrease. Yeah, it's also can be a problem. If it's low, you can't do anything about that.
Well, I usually tell them that I got friends at FBI and they will come to their house if they do.
Okay, any other ways, like maybe
sometimes it works.
In other ways, like maybe gamification, and I've heard you have some intensive learning. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Well, yeah, that's actually the gamification that we're talking about. We want people to contest, so they're actually doing some practical lessons. They are not getting any books. They are not getting any specific lectures. They only use some of their new experience. They do interesting exercises, practical exercises. They go outside, they eat at the restaurant, they go to the cinemas. They have to be inside the foreign country within their own town. We use these practical lessons on our courses, and we call them intense because we make people speak English, let's say fluently within one level in 2 months. I think that's quite quick, but the most important that they feel confident about it. And perhaps they only know 300 words, but if they use 300 words and they feel comfortable about using them, that's a great deal. So you don't have to learn a lot. You must feel comfortable about it.
For me, it sounds like magic, like 2 months and you speak confidently and fluently. That's fantastic. Maybe do you have any other techniques how to do that, or only some practicing real life situation, maybe anything else? Because I know intensive learning can put some pressure on a student.
Of course it can, but usually you direct the students to the way of, I'm sorry, I've got my cat here. Everybody wants to. Of course, you have to make it, again, interesting. As we've been talking about group lessons, that you have to be inside the subject that students love, the same happens here. To go on a practical lessons, it must be something that they do every day, they feel comfortable about. So I think most of the students would like to go to the cinema and they would be happy to watch the same movie, but in English with subtitles, for example. So you never have to push them to do that. Or maybe you can go to the gym and your trainer will be, I don't know, your instructor would be an English guy and he will be speaking only English to you. You still can understand what he says, and like in a half an hour you feel comfortable about it.
I see. And do you use any course books or no course books at all?
No course books at all. All the lecture is spoken. We use lots of interactions like videos or audios, examples, maybe some unique exercises. Sometimes we use tables, different types of tables, because we connect the Russian grammar and we use Russian grammar to express the English.
So use the tables, right, to compare, right, to grammar input. Okay, sounds very interesting for me. And you mentioned some kind of a platform that you have.
Well, yeah, we're using now the Moodle platform because our platform from the University of Berkeley in California was actually banned in Russia for some reason. And not just we're working together with the Cambridge universities and Longman is not available in Russia too now. So it's difficult to work from America to Russia right now because of this crisis of information. So we're using the Moodle system now, and it's quite convenient. It can be personalized for each kind of course.
And finally, I wanted to ask you, let's imagine that I'm a teacher, right? And I have a student who came to me and told me, Yulia, I want to speak English fluently in 3 months. What should I do? Like, what program should I choose? Can you give maybe some advice to teachers who maybe has never tried any intensive learning?
Well, first of all, you have to understand, why does the student want to learn so fast? What is the reason? And that would be actually your target, your aim. So while you understand why he needs it, you will understand what does he need. Because if a student wants to get a job, you will pay more attention to the interview, to the subject of the job. And I will never be alone here. Okay.
Such a nice cat. I see only some paw.
Yeah, there are 2 of them. So after that, you can only make a program for each student, because if you don't understand what is the subject of this learning, and maybe he just wants to make it quicker to prove their friends that he can do it. And in that way, you can just choose the basic vocabulary, basic expressions. You will not need tenses, and you will just push them to start talking in a week without even knowing rules of grammar. Other students have to get ready for exams. So you will have to create a program which help them to understand quicker, maybe not get all the rules, but still know how to use them. And vocabulary, you can always make them create their own vocabulary. I usually, at the first lesson, at the beginning, I usually put my all students to write down the vocabulary they use. For example, I prepare 5 to 10 places and I make them write down 10 verbs, 10 adjectives, and 10 nouns that they can see at each place, because that's the words they are using mostly, that's the objects they pay attention to, and probably they will be discussing them later, so that's the words they need at the beginning. So you can start speaking. If you use this word, you can start speaking within a week.
Oh, fantastic. I need to try. I should try that technique that you suggested. Alex, thank you very much. I think that brings us to the end of our broadcast. I enjoyed your speech at the festival and I enjoy your tips now.
Oh, have you been watching it online?
Your speech at festival?
Yeah.
I have recorded because I have London package. It's premium package. That's why I watched you.
I haven't seen that online yet.
We will send you, okay?
Sure.
Your speech was fantastic. I like it very much. Okay, Alex. Anyway, thank you very, very much for your useful tips and techniques. I think that our audience and me personally will try to use some of that we've heard today. Okay. So thank you very, very much for sharing that.
Thank you.
I wish you good luck in your teaching, in your courses, and so all the best to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.